Stay away from the ocean, it's not safe anymore. In 1989, we detected a faint call coming from the depths of the ocean. A strange cry from a massive creature, traveling alone in the vast blue waters below. At first, it sounded like an oddity, a malfunctioning hydrophone. But then we heard it again in 1990 and 1991. With only 5% of the ocean explored, it baffled us. To any untrained ear, it sounded like a whale, but its pitch was too high. Measuring at a frequency of 52 Hz, it meant that the song couldn't be understood by any known species of whale. Thus, it was destined to exist on its own, and this has been dubbed the loneliest creature in the world. We called him Blue 52. Every year, we'd hear the lonesome whale, measured through hydrophones spread across the west coast of America and Canada. Still, it wouldn't be until 2019, before we finally lay eyes upon it. Our crew was tasked with finding him, tag him with a tracker, and observe for others like him. On board the RV Song of Solitude, we traversed the North Pacific in search of a whale that had been heard, but never seen. With technology constantly advancing, tracking it had become a much easier task. While it took us weeks just to locate him, we grew closer with each passing day. Do you think he knows? Rita asked as we stared out at the horizon. The ocean was calm, gently rocking our large research vessel. It was wonderfully peaceful, and though our mission was interesting, it carried an undeniable hint of dread. Knows what? I asked. She sighed. That there are others like him out there? It was a fair question. Whether or not the strange frequency of its voice was caused by a deformity, or if it was a hybrid species, it had to have been raised by someone. Whale calves stay approximately 1 year with their mothers, as they grow and get ready to face the oceans alone. I don't know. Why else would he sing? The whale had been traveling in the same path as blue whales, yet the timing was off. It meant that despite it going exactly the same way, it would never meet anyone else on its journey. Wherever he swam, the others would be long gone, 40 years alone, just looking for someone else. She trailed off. Weeks passed as we searched, and in the late summer of 2019, we finally found him. There it was, surfacing for a breath of fresh air. An 80 feet long whale, spurting a fountain of water from his blowhole. He had a magnificent blue color, yet the shape of his body resembled that of a fin whale. Our theory of it being a hybrid had been confirmed, and he looked extraordinarily healthy considering that he had survived on his own for so long. He's magnificent, Rita exclaimed in excitement. Without hesitation, we planted a tracker on his skin with a suction cup, and let him dive back beneath the ocean. We went to work and recorded more of his song, a somber tune of melancholy. We spent the next 3 weeks just tracking him, hoping to see another of his kind. Alas, he remained alone. During the nights, I often found Rita staring out at the ocean, marking each time he surfaced to breathe. He looks too sad. How can you tell? I asked. I don't know. Just a gut feeling, I guess. Poor Eros. Eros? Yeah, I figured we're the closest thing he has to a family. We ought to be the ones naming him. I mulled over the name for a moment. It certainly sounded better than Blue 52. A bit ironic though, don't you think? Not at all. As the mission went on, Rita started sleeping less and less. She was afraid that we'd lose Eros if we didn't keep a constant eye on him. Whales hardly ever sleep, constantly needing to resurface, always on the move. Of all the mammals, they have the lowest requirement for sleep. We were 2 months into our mission, when I was shook awake in the middle of the night. As I opened my heavy eyes, I saw Rita standing above me with a wide smile on her face. There's another whale. She shouted. We rushed to the control room, where Captain Banks stood, eyes fixed on a new set of frequencies. Sure enough, there were 2 distinct, but similar sources of sound coming from about 1,000 feet below. I knew it. I knew Eros wasn't alone. Suddenly, our depressing job had turned to one of joy. If there were 2, we could assume with high probability that there were more. In fact, we might have been witnessing the beginning of a new subspecies of whale. It was a beautiful moment to behold. You sure it's not just a malfunction? One of the crew members asked. I took a look at the numbers. Eros' voice had lowered a bit in his later years, at 50 Hz, while the other, new source was slightly higher pitched. Could it be a calf? No idea. The sonar isn't picking anything up. We need to get closer. We waited until morning, and tried to get closer to Eros. According to the sonar readings, there was a creature roughly twice the size of our whale, swimming a couple of thousand feet beneath the surface. Even for a whale, it was huge. About an hour passed, and we finally caught Eros coming up for air. Despite tracking 2 distinct beings, only one of them ever breached the surface. Do you see anything? I asked. No, it's not coming up. Are we sure it's a whale? What else could it be? I don't know, but even whales can't hold their breath forever. We discussed the possibility of a new species entirely, but before we could even alert our superiors back on the mainland, we heard something else. It was a 3rd song, then a 4th, and a 5th, and before long, a whole pod of these creatures had been detected. They were massive, far larger than any known creature to occupy the ocean. It was a frightening, but intriguing discovery. We were ordered to send down a submersible drone, to get an actual view of the beings. I could